I called my cousin a monster and told her I hope she rots in prison. Annie didn't pick my cousin Lucia as her maid of honor 2 months ago. Lucia had been planning their weddings together since middle school. Annie gently explained she'd already asked someone else. She just said she wanted to keep the wedding party small. Lucia is 24 like me, but she acted like a telenovela villain on steroids. She showed up at my apartment that night raging about how Annie thought she was too Mexican for her fancy whitewashed wedding. I tried to explain that wasn't true, but she wouldn't listen. She kept ranting about Annie forgetting where she came from, saying she needed to learn her place. 3 weeks later, Lucia invited me over and showed me something that made me want to vomit. She'd been researching our entire family's legal status. She shared it all with some brilliant law student named Dakota from Reddit, who specialized in immigration loopholes. He found 7 relatives with immigration issues, explained which agencies to contact, what dates they entered, which laws they violated, where they worked. He analyzed employment records she'd stolen from our uncle's desk. These detailed breakdowns of how to report each person to ICE effectively. He even identified which detention centers they'd likely go to. Lucia was documenting everything. She had everyone's information organized in a folder on her laptop labeled Wedding Fireworks. I asked Lucia what the hell she was planning. She got this sick gleam in her eyes and laid it all out. Annie's wedding was in 3 weeks. Her mom had booked that beautiful ballroom downtown and invited both families. She was trying to unite everyone since Annie's father had passed. Lucia was going to plant small bags of substances in relatives' belongings during the ceremony. She was going to slip them into 7 different purses and jacket pockets. Everything. Abuela's heart medication switched with look-alike pills. A bag of white powder in Tio Miguel's coat pocket. Pills in her DACA cousin's purse. Fake prescriptions in multiple cars in the parking lot. She even bought identical copies of their actual bags to practice the switch. I told Lucia this was insane. People would go to prison. She just shrugged and said that was the point. She said maybe next time Annie wouldn't act like she was better than her own blood. Then she said something that made me physically shake. She said after everyone got arrested and deported, maybe Annie would finally understand what it felt like to lose everyone. And if she was lucky, the trauma might make her miscarry the baby she just announced. That night, I threw up twice. I kept thinking about Annie, how she taught me to drive when no one else would, how she always brought extra lunch to school when she knew I didn't have money, how happy she'd looked lately, probably because she was finally having the fairy tale wedding after losing her dad. A week passed, and I watched Annie at the venue walk through. She was glowing, more excited than I'd ever seen her. She actually asked about Lucia to the wedding planner. She made sure to accommodate everyone's dietary restrictions, including Lucia's. This whole production was the only joy she'd had since her father's death, and Lucia was going to turn it into an ICE raid. I couldn't stand by and watch. 5 days before the wedding, I did something that would definitely ruin my relationship with Lucia. I created a fake email account. I messaged Annie saying I was a concerned venue employee who'd overheard something terrifying. I told her someone was planning to plant drugs on her family members and call both ICE and the police during her wedding. Annie didn't want to believe it at first. She replied saying it had to be a sick prank or someone trying to extort money, so I did something that still makes me feel sick. I sent her photos I'd taken of Lucia's laptop screen, screenshots showing the detailed spreadsheets with everyone's status and where she'd hidden the substances. Annie canceled the original venue within hours. She didn't attend her own bachelorette party. The wedding still happened, but at an undisclosed location. Her mom told everyone they'd had a plumbing issue at the venue. Lucia was furious. She kept texting, asking for the new address right until the ceremony time. That evening, Lucia called me hysterical. She'd pieced together that someone had warned Annie and knew it was me. She demanded to know if I was the one who destroyed her plan. I said yes. She screamed that I was a pathetic traitor who chose some uppity slut over my own blood. I didn't recognize the person screaming at me. I told her she was a sociopath who almost destroyed 7 innocent lives because she didn't get to wear a pink dress. I said she was an evil, vindictive witch who should be locked in a psychiatric ward. I didn't know it at the time, but my comments had stung Annie, and she wanted me to be her next target. Full story on channel, link below.